All right, welcome to the Young Turks. I'm your host, Cenk. We've got a fun and exciting show ahead for you guys. You know what I'm going to do on this program? I'm going to break some news. Interesting. I've got sources, dude. I've got inside sources. You know where? At the United Nations. Okay, so it turns out the TYT army is really somewhere, is everywhere, I should say. We're going to do a story about the Palestinian negotiations, and I'm going to tell you why the Palestinians are so frustrated, partly based on a senior diplomatic source that I have there. Woohoo, aren't I fancy? All right, we'll do that in a little bit. But first, we have major news out of Wisconsin. Governor Scott Walker and the Republicans in that state, on the brink of losing, have decided that they are going to cheat. So I will explain. First, it appears, according to Mike Taibbi's reporting on NBC News, that the Democrats were close to striking a deal with three so-called moderate Republicans in the state on a compromise where, as the union has been saying for a million years now, they would contribute to their pensions, the health care, etc., take the pay cut, which they've offered from day one, but keep their bargaining rights. So when the other Republicans saw that, they decided to go with the nuclear option. They pulled the trigger and split the bill. Now, why is splitting the bill relevant here, and how does that solve it for them? Well, in order for a budget bill to pass in Wisconsin, you need quorum. They don't have quorum because the Democrats left the state. So they can't even vote on it, even if they could have a majority, because there's not enough people to hold the vote. But non-budgetary bills, non-financial bills, don't need quorum. All you need is a majority, right? So they split it and said, all right, we will vote on the budgetary provisions and the pay cuts and all of that in a separate bill, but taking away bargaining rights is not budgetary, it is not financial, so we do not need quorum for that. And once we split it from the rest of the budget bill, we will be able to pass it without the Democrats that are out of the state. And that is exactly what they did, and they passed it 18-1. Now, why am I calling it cheating? First of all, Governor Walker and the Republicans had said that they would never do that. Of course, unless they thought they were going to lose, in which case they said, okay, screw it. Now we're going to do it. We changed our mind instantly. Second of all, remember the whole point behind this, according to Governor Walker in Wisconsin, was, hey, no, I got to do this for the budget. I got this deficit. I don't know what to do with the deficit. And if I take away bargaining rights, well, then that'll help me with the deficit down the road. It's definitely about the deficit. It's not about union busting. No. Well, now basically they're saying, yeah, we were lying. It has nothing to do with the budget. In fact, if it has something to do with the budget, what they did was illegal. So we're telling you, it's just about union busting, and we want to take away their rights. Now, they've made that even more obvious by doing two different things. One is American Crossroads, that's a Carl Rowe funded group, has taken out a $750,000 ad that they are running not just in Wisconsin but across the country, saying the unions give money to the Democrats and they must be defeated. So all that stuff about the budget, that was nonsense. This is just about, hey, let's crush the unions so we can beat Obama, and the Rove ad connects the unions to Obama. But he's not alone. Going back to Wisconsin, the state senator, in fact, their majority leader, Fitzgerald, went on Fox News Channel and absolutely admitted it. This is about politics, busting the unions, and taking away bargaining rights of teachers and all those other state employees so they can hurt the Democrats. Never had a thing to do with the budget. Let's check out Fitzgerald.
Well, if they flip the state Senate, which is obviously the goal with 8 recalls going on right now, they can take control of the labor unions. If we win this battle and the money is not there under the auspices of the unions, certainly what you're going to find is President Obama is going to have a much more difficult time getting elected and winning the state of Wisconsin.
Oh, I see. So it has to do about President Obama winning Wisconsin. It has to do about politics. Liars. They were lying the whole time. Oh, we're so concerned about the deficit. Oh, have you given the tax cuts to the rich yet? Yeah, great. Fantastic. Yeah, no, this has always been about busting the unions, busting the middle class. You saw that call that Governor Walker had with the fake Koch brother, and he's like, oh, yeah, once we crush them, we'll party out in California. This is about an assault on the middle class, man. We've been telling you that 100 times over. And once you take away the only thing left that is fighting for the middle class, the unions, well, there is no other institutional force. They have all the money. Look, the PCCC and the Democracy for America, two excellent progressive organizations, they're collecting money from all across the country, an average of $22 a piece, to cobble together an ad that runs in Wisconsin, right? Karl Rove just goes to one of his millionaire buddies and give me money. One check, boom, $750,000. They outraised him. And, how are you going to raise $22 at a time to go up against these guys? The only other institutional money that could defeat the corporate money that the Republicans have, and I can't even begin to defeat it, but at least it's some sort of competition, is the unions. That's why they're going for the kill shot here. They're going for checkmate. Once they can knock off the unions, and by the way, as we told you before, they already did it in Ohio as well under Kasich, and they just did it in Idaho. Then they're going to go and say, all right, that's it. Democrats don't have a chance. Corporations win. And that's exactly what happened here in Wisconsin. And no matter how many protests, no matter how many polls that said the people of Wisconsin were not on that side, they didn't give a damn. Because they figure, hey, once we have all the money locked up, we will run ad after ad after ad and deceive people into voting for us. That's the Republican strategy, and that's exactly what we saw in Wisconsin. All right, so now we'll see how the Democrats fight back. But for the moment being, legislatively, it appears that they have lost on the bargaining rights issue. By the way, how would I fight back? I'd go in and go, oh, well, we're offering you the pay cuts, etc., in return for not taking away collective bargaining rights now that you took it away. Well, we're not offering the pay cuts anymore. Look, it would be a really interesting world if the Democrats ran their party like I would. The Republicans are like, what? What are we going to do now? We're going to get back into the fight, right? But you know the Democrats. I mean, and the guys in Wisconsin have been awesome. Don't get me wrong. But even they're not going to fight on that. You know they're not going to fight on it. They're going to say, oh, okay, oh, well, now here's your pay cuts, too. I'd be like, no. We didn't have a deal. You did this unilaterally. No, I don't agree to the pay cuts. You know what I would like instead? I would like pay raises for teachers, and I would like you to get it from the rich and the corporations in Wisconsin. Okay? Look, I don't know. That's how I play poker. You want to raise? I'll re-raise. Let's see what you got. But the idea that Democrats might do that, that's, as they say, that's a bridge too far. All right, now, let's have a little bit of fun. That was a serious story, and the Palestinian story is very serious in a second as well. And we're having budget negotiation. You know what? Let me just do the budget story real quick, because there's a lot of nonsense out there. Theoretically, we're in budget negotiations now between the Republicans and the Democrats in Congress, and they both offered up nonsense bills where the Republicans offered up their version where they cut $61 billion. Democrats offered up their version, which they say cuts $5 billion. They both got voted down, and now the negotiations begin, yada, yada, yada. Every time I see those stories, I want to pull my hair out, because before the negotiations began, Obama gave away $40 billion, and there's no mention of it. They got 0% credit for it. None of the news articles mention it anymore. They just say the Democrats are only offering up $5 billion in cuts. How about the $40 billion? How about when you took away heating from poor families in the middle of winter? How about when you took away money from community organizing? How about when you froze the pay of federal employees? Now none of that counts. Okay, don't make me go back into how Obama is the worst negotiator in the history of mankind. So they get into this back and forth, and one of the Senate Democrats said anonymously in an article, said, look, I mean, we'd love to be tougher, but if we're going to be tougher, Obama's going to come in and strike a deal with the Republicans and throw us under the bus. So, what can we do? And then I had Ezra Klein on our MSNBC show last night, and he was talking about how the Democrats want to get tougher, and this is a good thing. Look, Schumer has done something very important here. He came out and said, look, we got to hit the reset button here, and we got to put other things back on the table. All that the Republicans have been doing is offering spending cuts from non-defense discretionary spending. Okay, and that's not going to get the job done. So let me just explain that to you real quick. Non-defense discretionary spending is 17% of the budget. It's $611 billion. If you cut it all, you spent nothing on the EPA, destroyed the Department of Education, destroyed it, zero, all of these things. Every single government project you could think of that isn't defense or Social Security, Medicare or Medicaid, you took all of it out, wiped it out. There's no government, Republicans win, right? You would still have about a $1 trillion deficit. It's a joke. You can't balance the budget that way. But the Republicans, they don't care about balancing the budget. In the last 30 years, here's the number of times the Republicans have balanced the budget. 0. Never. Reagan was in office for 8 years, George H.W. Bush 4 years, George W. Bush another 8 years. That's 20 years. Here's the number of years they balanced the budget. 0. It's worse than that. They brought gigantic deficits. It's worse than that. George W. Bush took a huge surplus and turned it into a giant deficit. That is not their priority. Their priority is to cut taxes for the rich under any and all circumstances. That is their only priority. Of course, if they can cut the EPA so they can't do regulations, so that the polluters can pollute more, yeah, fantastic. If they can cut NPR and PBS, that brings real facts to the American people, fantastic. That fits all into their agenda. Okay, but they don't care about balancing the budget. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. But what Schumer is saying is, hey, listen, if you care about balancing the budget, why don't we bring back the idea of oil subsidies and eliminating those? That would save $40 billion, over $40 billion. And boom, we would have an immediate agreement. You would get to cut about $61 billion that you say you were going to cut, and you could go brag to the Tea Party about it. We would agree to it, and we have a deal. And of course, the Republicans don't want to do that because they get paid by the oil companies. They just voted that down. So I love what Schumer is doing to reintroduce those elements. And guess who's fighting it? You got it. The Obama administration. They're saying, oh, no, Democrats in the Senate, please don't fight. No, let's only do this on Republican ground, and let's only cut non-defense discretionary spending exactly as they want. Please don't hurt the oil companies. Please don't reintroduce other elements of this. Why? There's only two possible reasons. We've gone over this a million times. That they are either profoundly stupid, that they don't understand a thing about politics. They think that the best way to win is to agree with the Republicans 9 out of 10 times and just get 5% less than what the Republicans want. Look, obviously I don't believe that choice because I can't believe anybody could be that unbelievably record-breaking stupid, right? The other choice is that they're Trojan horse, that they are all conservative. Now, they're not lunatics like the current Republican Party. They're moderate Republicans. William Daley, the chief of staff for Barack Obama, is a multimillionaire banker. Rahm Emanuel loves Washington establishment, his former chief of staff. Tim Geithner in league with the bankers. And on it goes. Obama picked all those people because he is an establishment guy. He is, in my experience, and when I was growing up, Obama would have been a Republican, been a barely moderate Republican. He would have been somewhere between moderate Republican and strict conservative. He's nowhere near a progressive. He's just not. You see, when calling Schumer a progressive is a kind of a funny thing, right? But Schumer is now so far to the left of Obama. Okay, when you're that far to the right of Schumer, you're not within miles of progressive. The guy's a Republican. Look, a lot of people hate the messenger. They think that it must not be true because I'm saying it, I guess, because they've got to find an excuse not to believe it. But you go read the reports for yourselves. The Obama administration is throwing the Senate Democrats under the bus and agreeing with the Republicans again. Why? You tell me. Change, you can believe it. I got more people, when we did the Matt Damon story, Anna and I did it on MSNBC again last night, and people writing emails and tweeting, etc. Matt Damon is just as bad as Cenk Uygur. They're all Republicans. How could you possibly think that? But people will think that just because it's cognitive dissonance. They worked so hard for Obama, and I kind of feel bad for them, right? And so did we, right? And they love Obama so much, they think anything that doesn't fit that mode of thinking must be rejected. It doesn't matter how irrational my reason for rejecting it is, but in their minds now, Matt Damon's a Republican because he doesn't like Obama. Even though Matt Damon's saying, no, but the guy is way too conservative. He shouldn't have worked with the banks. How does that make Matt Damon a Republican? Who cares? If it does not match what's in my head of I love Barack Obama's right about everything, well, then it must be rejected. Who gives a shit about facts? All right, anyway, you keep thinking that, see how that turns out for you. In 2012, we are going to have a disastrous choice. We're going to have Barack Obama, who is a Republican and helps them in their framing and their talking points, and who does them huge favors by accepting their vision of the world, and he does it as a Democratic president, which is even more damaging. Or we're going to have a full-blown lunatic/corporate robot Republican. Those are going to be our choices. Man, that is depressing, man. Okay, so I hear you on that, but we got to fight back. And I got to get you guys started, man. I mean, look, I'm telling you, it's all about campaign financing. Until you change the campaign financing, you're going to keep getting surprised and going, wow, the Democrats agreed with the Republicans that the corporations and the big banks and the big oil companies should win. Golly gee willikers, I wonder why that happened. You got to attack the source. It's campaign financing. We got to start talking about how to attack that. I mean, I keep telling you that's what the problem is. We got to roll up our sleeves. We'll do more of that throughout the upcoming weeks, months, etc. But let me take a quick break here. Let me come back with the funny Gingrich story and the very important story about the Palestinian state.
All right, let's get right to it. So Colorado right now is considering a bill that would grant gay couples the right to enter civil unions. Right now, politicians are listening to testimony from different residents in Colorado who are both for and against the bill. And I found this gem of a video from a Colorado resident by the name of Rosina Kovlar. And she is against civil unions for gay couples. So she's going to explain why in this video. I want you guys to check it out, and then we'll talk about it a little more.
I'm Rosina Kovlar. I'm representing myself and my grandchildren. Well, I think we ought to be telling the truth about fornication and sodomy. He told them the anus is an exit. It is not an entrance. This is not the Bible, he said. This is science. Now the unwed mother rate is 41%. Will you then think that you should go into the schools and teach there's no difference between homosexual sex and heterosexual sex? This is what was said by Joseph Stalin. We have 1 out of 4 sexually active teenagers that has a sexually transmitted disease. And this is very costly. Unlike the vagina, nature put a tight sphincter at the entrance of the anus. It's there for a reason. Keep out. The years between 5 and 12 is a latency period where sex education should not be taught. If you teach sex education and you get these kids involved in sex, those are the years, those latency years are the years that the children usually learn compassion. They learn not to kick the dog. The anal lining is only 1 cell thick. There are M cells everywhere. There is no lubrication. So tissue microtears are common, and access to the bloodstream is easy. We will then see what's happened in Massachusetts, where they're teaching homosexuality starting in kindergarten. In 1960, we've been teaching fornication in the schools, and we've been teaching this. And I really oppose this bill, and I hope you oppose it. because I don't think we should go down that road.
Okay, so this woman is wildly misinformed, okay? She thinks that there's schools right now that teach about homosexuality in preschool. That is not the case. I don't know where she came up with it. She's just trying to make an argument that makes sense, except she's using absolute lies. She's crazy. So, go ahead, Cenk.
Yeah, look, I don't know if you know this, Anna, but she's got science backing her up.
No, I love
science...
that. I love that she said that she has scientific evidence, and then she just spoke nonsense throughout that entire clip.
No. Her scientific evidence was that the anus is an exit and not an entrance. Everybody in science knows that. That's the first thing they teach you. Okay, first of all, science is about observing nature. And according to her, a lot of people are using it as an entrance. So science would teach you that it is both.
Yeah. No. I love what she said there. God created a tight sphincter for a reason. Keep out. Oh, that was a great argument. I'm against gay sex.
No, listen. I think she's missing the point of the tight sphincter. Like, there might be a reason why people are using it as an entrance. Think about it. Put two and two together, see what you come up with.
You know, what the interesting thing is, like with people who are against, the gay community, or, they want to basically limit the rights of gays, like they always get so colorful and very specific about their sex lives. I've never in a million years thought about gay sex, and I've never thought about describing it to people. Like, I don't really get into the nitty-gritty of it because I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I love how she really got into it. She's like, the sphincter is tight, and it's only for, stuff to come out, not go in. Like, I get it.
No, you know why? Now, Anna, like, they're making it personal to the point where I begin to wonder, is it personal?
Right.
Like, I wonder if someone suggested it to her at some point, and she's like, no, the sphincter is very tight. That's a bad idea. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. Grandpa was into I don't know what happened in the Kovlar house, but she's like, no, it is an exit, not an entrance.
Yeah, they just they use too many descriptive words. I don't know. It makes me uncomfortable. Like, you don't need to get so colorful in your explanation of what happens during gay sex. We all know, okay? And another thing that I love, she just randomly mentioned that 1 in 4 teens has an STD. That has absolutely nothing to do with gays. Like, 1 in 4 teens has an STD because they have unprotected sex. That's not something that's caused solely by gay sex. But she randomly mentioned it, because it makes sense in this argument, in her crazy mind. So
Anna, they are teaching fornication in the schools. It's true. I remember when I was in elementary school, I walked in, first thing they taught me, fornication.
In preschool. That was the first lesson we learned. We learned about the birds and the bees, and then we learned about gay sex. We learned about the sphincter and how it's tight. That's the first thing we learned.
I think that her constantly talking about that might not be having the effect she thinks it's having.
I don't know. People are just so misinformed. It's embarrassing, man. If you're going to go up there and make an argument, and I get it, okay? If you want to talk about how your religion is against gay sex or, homosexuality in general, then that's fine. But don't try to make your argument stronger by making up science. It just makes you look like a clown.
Now I'm thinking of Austin Powers. The sphincter is taut. It's taut like a tiger. Come on.
There you go, baby.
Here's what you should not do in a public hearing. What was that?
There you go, baby. There you go.
Maybe that's what Papa Kovlar was telling her. She's like, wait a minute.
Ew! God. This is nasty.
No, here's what you should not do in a public hearing. Talk about sphincters.
Oh, I know. Exactly.
General rule.
All right. Let's go to the next video. I want to talk about a teacher by the name of Tara Myers. She has just resigned from Parkway North High School in St. Louis. And the reason why she did that is because some of her students discovered her porn from 15 years ago. All right. This is actually the second time that she's been fired. I want you guys to watch the video and decide whether or not she deserved it.
What happened? And the whole school knew. It was in like 5 minutes.
The hot topic at school, science teacher Tara Myers' sexy past. The porn star turned teacher tried to shed what she calls her worst mistake, one that she made more than 15 years ago. And her porno movie past continues to haunt her.
Either way, someone's going to find out one day, and then that's just like a bad look on you if you're a school teacher.
It's happened to her before. In 2006, teachers and parents stood by her when she was suspended from her teaching job in Paducah, Kentucky. Her contract not renewed. The superintendent there feared Myers' past would be a distraction in the classroom.
Anybody who's been in my classroom can tell you how much I love teaching and how much I love these students. And that should be what matters more than anything that I've ever done in my past.
She even shared her story on Dr. Phil and found work at Parkway North High School the following school year. Here's the thing. What she did was not illegal, so it didn't show up on a background check. And district officials say none of her references disclosed her past.
So it was a lesson for everybody just to know that even when you do stuff when you're young, it affects you later.
Myers has quit Parkway North. She'll be paid through the end of the year, but had already decided not to come back next year.
We're also told Tara Myers is not speaking publicly about her decision to leave Parkway North, asking for privacy for herself and her family.
Oh, I mean, how many times are we going to hear about this? I just love the hypocrisy of people who talk about women who are in the sex industry, who say, oh, these poor women, we got to do something about them to get them out of this terrible career that they've built for themselves. Sex? What are we talking about? Sex? You know what I mean? Like, they want to get these women out of porn. They want to get these women out of prostitution. But as soon as these women enter a job market, okay, if they become teachers or any other thing, if they work on Wall Street, it doesn't matter. If someone finds out about their porn past, immediately they're asked to resign or they get fired. So what is it? You know, do you want to help these women or do you want them to stay, you know, remain porn stars or prostitutes? I hate when I hear about stories like this, because it shouldn't be about what she did 15 years ago. It should be about what she's doing in the classroom. Okay, she should be evaluated based on how effective she is as a teacher. This always annoys me so much.
Right. Look, two things here. One is, if you're young and you're thinking of doing something like, oh, porn, it'll be fun. Look, be careful, man. Look, as you know me, I'm pro porn, but they're going to hold that over your head, right or wrong. They're going to hold that over your head the rest of your life. So just please, don't think it's like no big deal. As you can see here, it turns out to be a big deal in a lot of instances throughout your life. So that's point number one. Now, point number two, should it be? Of course not. Look, what, so she can't teach math or she can't teach history or science because she was a porn star? No. And, oh, well, what if the kids look it up and they snicker? First of all, then you've got no control over your kids. You're letting them look up porn. That's your problem, not the teacher's problem. Second of all, of course they are, and who cares? So what? I mean, like, you know, that's like the big thing, like, oh, my God. All right. Yeah, but they were apparently looking up porn anyway, so they saw somebody else or they saw their teacher. Yeah, they're going to snicker a little bit more, and yeah, it might lead to their fantasies, whatever it is, right? And then what? And then what? I got news for you. Your teachers, whether they're in porn or not, are having sex.
Yeah.
So if your kids are going to snicker over that, okay. But you know what? That's part of life. Sex is part of life. Get used to it.
Yeah, in fact, some of them are having dirty, dirty sex. It's just not on camera. So are we going to judge everyone in the U.S. population for having sex sometime in their past? It's so stupid. I hate it. But by the way, when it comes to students finding out, people will always make the argument that, oh, well, you know, they're going to lose their respect for the teachers. All of a sudden, they're not going to be seen in a position of authority, yada, yada, yada. I don't buy that at all. Of course, they're going to snicker. They're going to be like, oh, did you know that, I don't know, Mrs. Drew was in porn when she was 25? They're going to talk about it a little bit, and then they're going to get over it. In fact, I have a friend, she's the same age as me. She found out that her male boss did porn in his past, okay? She found it. And you know what she did? Absolutely nothing. She told me about it. We laughed about it a little bit because he doesn't look like the type of guy who'd be in porn. That's the only reason why we laughed about it. And then after that, she got over it. She didn't treat him any worse. You know, she wasn't like, oh, he was in porn. All of a sudden, I'm going to disrespect him and not pay attention to what he's saying. He's the boss. And he did porn. Who cares? So.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't see the relevance. So would you lose respect if you found out your male teachers were going to work on themselves?
A little bit. A little bit.
Okay, I got news for you. Okay, so, I mean, look, all right, I'm not getting into the details of sex. They're all having all sorts of different sex. Some of it is crazy, some of it is fine. It's all, quote-unquote, embarrassing. Why? Because they're human beings. It's like, did you know that 15 years ago that teacher was breathing? Yeah, because you got to breathe to be alive. Did you know that she ate food? Oh! All right, next.
All right, I got to give you guys a little Charlie Sheen update. So, 2.5 Men is looking to replace Charlie Sheen, and right now there are rumors circulating about possibly casting Rob Lowe in Charlie Sheen's role. And Charlie Sheen decided to go on K-Earth 101, which is a radio station in Los Angeles, and share his thoughts on it. So I want to read you his quote. He says, "He's a buddy of mine, he's a beautiful man, a brilliant actor, and I hope he does it and kicks its ass because I still get paid." Okay, so here's what I want to say to Rob Lowe. Do whatever it takes to get Charlie Sheen to shut up. Okay, because Charlie Sheen endorsing you to play your role or play his role is a disastrous thing. Okay, in fact, Chuck Lorre probably already has you off the board. Cross, X, done.
You know, I hear you on that, and I don't see Rob Lowe in that at all. I mean, Rob Lowe is kind of like and they were talking about John Stamos too. That neither one of those guys makes sense. They're both like goody two shoes. You know, in the past, maybe maybe I'm underestimating their acting talent, and they'll be able to play the bad guy. But Sheen's role in that sitcom is the bad guy, right? The one with the hookers and the drugs, etc. Of course, when he does it in real life, they're like, "No, you're too much of a bad guy." But I don't see them in that role. But anyway. Martin Bashir on MSNBC apparently made a great point about this, right? He said, look, when Charlie Sheen was arrested, CBS didn't care. When he was accused of significant violence against his domestic partners or his wives, they didn't care. When he criticized his boss, he's fired. So it's kind of a perverse system that we have set up. That you any damn thing you like and actually, get charged with violence, etc., etc. No one cares, but if you criticize the boss, well, then you're in big, big trouble.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. He does have a history of violence, and I've always wondered why it is that he was able to get away with it. Like, there are all these accusations that he's violent against his wives, and it's totally fine. But yeah, that's an awesome point. No one else has mentioned that at all. So
now it is. It's a great point. Now the flip side is, don't get me wrong. Charlie Sheen is clearly crazy.
Of course.
Like, we can see it with our own two eyes. The guy's on a rooftop waving a machete. So it's not like I'd want to work with him, and I get why they didn't want to work with him. I got why they got to the point where they couldn't do it. But it was interesting what was the straw that broke the camel's back and what didn't break it before. And by the way, we know it's always about the money. Charlie Sheen also doesn't mind as much because apparently he has a clause in his contract, and that's what he was referring to in that quote there, that if they continue the show, he gets paid anyway, which is an awesome contract. I got to go get his agent.
Yeah, that is an awesome contract. All right, guys, that does it for today's show. There won't be a post-game show today, but there will be one tomorrow. So if you're a member, tune in tomorrow for the members-only show, or you have an opportunity to catch up on shows that we did a couple days ago. And go ahead, Cenk.
I just want a quick announcement here. I'm going to be on MSNBC as a guest at 10 o'clock Eastern this morning. So in just about a little less than 40 minutes, we're going to talk about Peter King, and I will share my opinions with that show. So that ought to be very, very interesting. I think I'm going to be on with Carl Bernstein, who's a great journalist, so that'll be great too.
All right, guys, make sure you check that out, and we will see you tomorrow morning.